first thing you might notice is we skipped over the cement board, and the reason for that is it was so fast it didn't rank its own video, so look for that when we do the tile and finishing, which will be the one after this. To start, we attach 2x4s to be our basic overhang or act as a ledger board in other areas. We use these 3-inch self-tapping hex head lags. We were worried about the heads sticking out and keeping the form from getting a snug fit, so we took the washers off and countersunk them, which solved that problem but created another one, which you'll see later on. You'll notice we ended up dropping it about 3/4 of an inch to account for the board that we're going to add in a little bit.
This thing's dead.
Started the day by making the form for the drink trough. We want it top mounted, so the form has to be the exact same size as the base. Since we're mounting this form to the top, we want it the same thickness as the countertop, which is 2.5 inches. So these form boards are about an inch shorter than the ones that are going to go around the perimeter.
Yeah, we got room, so it should sit in there like a glove.
We're just pre-drilling some holes all the way through the form, through the cement board, and slipping some bolts through them and then a nut on the underside. The idea is when we're done, we can remove those bolts, pull off the form, and then just cut the cement board that's left in the middle. We wanted nice smooth edges but didn't want to pay for melamine, so we got this primed pine for our forms, and I think they worked out okay. The only thing I noticed is that there were some little milky areas coming up in the concrete, and that might have been the paint coming from them, but I don't really think it made an effect on the result. For the perimeter, we're mounting them about an inch down, but we did have to make some adjustments in order to keep that top edge level all the way around. Since we couldn't put any screws on the inside of the form, we used these corner braces to get nice and tight and level inner corners. The next thing was to seal every single seam, join, and hole with silicone. We also put some supporting legs under the bar, and I put together this system that allows for expansion and extra weight, so when we take it down it won't be such a bear. The next morning I cut the remesh into pieces that would fit every area of our form and then just set them outside the form leaning against the wall so they'd be ready to grab. Then we lubed it all up with some WD-40. We decided to go with this Sakrete high strength concrete because it's affordable and strong. I calculated every half bag batch should take 7 cups of water, 1/4 bottle of color, and 1/2 bag of flow control. The directions say to add half of your concrete mix and all of your liquid and then mix. Then you add the flow control and the rest of your concrete mix and mix again. Unfortunately, our drill was no match for the massive amount of aggregate in this mix, so we ended up doing it the old wheelbarrow way. So this concrete mix, in addition to having a lot of aggregate, is also pretty dry, so it's kind of hard to work with and move around. The flow control certainly helped, and at the beginning we were accidentally adding 1 bag per half batch, so basically 2 bags of flow control per bag of concrete, which is more than we planned for, but it actually helped. I realized my mistake about halfway through and then got really stingy with the flow control, and that made things really hard to work with at the end, and you'll see when we take the form off what that resulted in. Now, we had considered concrete mix made especially for countertops that is easy to work with, has all the stuff you need in it, but we just could not get over the price being 3 times what the other stuff was. Also, not readily available at our stores. It's only available at a Lowe's across town. So our take, if you don't have much experience or patience and you've got money to burn, definitely get the countertop mix. If you're trying to save some money, it saved us almost $80, and you're willing to work with it, then the extra strength is just fine. Now the plan was to time-lapse the whole thing, but my phone battery is just about to give out, so I'm going to have to try and recreate what happened when the camera was down. I went around with a bladeless Sawzall and vibrated the form, again trying to knock those air bubbles out so we get a nice solid bubbleless edge. Then I used the edge of this trowel to lightly press and skim the surface, bringing up the water and then using it to fill in any low spots, knock down any rough spots, and generally just even everything out.
They look like doo-doo. Kinda.
Oh yeah, big time voids. Interesting. Look how much it collapsed at the bottom. It's that first layer.
Was mine.
Yeah.
Look out, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
So we need to get that slurry on there.
As I mentioned earlier, our countersinking plan had a flaw. That is, because we were watering the concrete, it made the wood swell so that we could not get a socket over that hex head. Luckily, we were able to dig it out with that carbide tool, but if you plan on doing this, make sure your countersink hole is plenty wide enough to accommodate. Alternately, you could just use wider boards and drill your lags in lower, as long as you know where the studs are so that you can hit them.
Oh wow, feel that.
Ooh.